guys, Balls96, but the yo is a 0, and we are back with yet another video, and back with yet another Best XI. This time around, I am taking a look at all of the new signings into the Premier League this season, and putting the best of the lot into a starting 11. Now, I am not including loan signings in this, or permanent signings of players who were on loan with their club last season, so you'll not be seeing the likes of David Raya or Pedro Porro in this list today. No, we are purely looking at brand new permanent signings this season, and so let's get on with the video, shall we? Here is my team of the best signings of the season. Goalkeeper Guillermo Vicario, starting this list off then with a player who a lot of people wrote off when Spurs signed him, simply because they didn't know who he was. But the few that did know the name of Vicario recognised how shrewd of a signing this could prove to be, and it certainly has turned out that way. It was a big ask to come in and replace the longest serving player, captain of the club and World Cup winner Hugo Lloris, and to bring in a goalkeeper in this day and age for around £15 million to be the starting goalkeeper in a team vying for Champions League football just looked like a disaster waiting to happen on paper. That is, in reality, and it has proven to be an absolutely superb bit of business, as he has been one of the best keepers in the league in his first season with Spurs. Despite the team's reckless ethos on attacking and leaving the back line unprotected, Vicario still managed 6 clean sheets and has saved 94 of the 146 shots that he has faced on target. A very accomplished save return, to say the least, also factoring his average of 36 passes per match, and it is clear to see that he doesn't just do the traditional job of a keeper, but he also starts off a lot of the plays from the back as well. Excellent keeper and an excellent start to this team. Right back, Timothy Castagne, a signing that went under the radar of most, but I believe this to be a very smart signing at the start of the season, and I'm proud to say that I feel pretty vindicated about this one. A completely reliable defender for Leicester previously, and he has proven to be exactly that for Fulham. 31 games played so far from an available 35 shows how much of an ever-present he has been within this team, a team that carried with it quite a new-look defence, but they have proven to be a rather tidy defence when put together. 55 goals conceded so far puts them in joint 8th for the best defensive record in the league, with only one team outside the top 6, that team being Everton, having a better record than Fulham at this very deep stage of the season. To add to his defensive attributes, he has also managed to create for his team as well, with 1 goal and 3 assists, resulting in a direct goal contribution around every 3 matches. That is a very nice return for a defender of a mid-table team, and evidences how much of an impact that Castagne has had within both areas of the game at Fulham. The fee was cheap too, at just £12 million. He was a snip for a proven Premier League and international player. Get in the team, son. Centre-back Pau Torres, the first of the centre-back partners now, and I've opted for the Aston Villa man, Pau Torres. I did consider Calvin Bassey as another member of the Fulham squad who has had a very good season in the Premier League for the first time. Let me know in the comments if you think he would have been the more suitable choice, but for me, I thought the influence that Torres has had over his team was more than enough of a reason to get him in here. With Torres in the team, Villa have a win rate of around 70%, but without him, this absolutely plummets to about 20%. It is quite unbelievable that the inclusion of one player can have such a massive impact on a team, but that is exactly what has happened here. Following the signing of Torres, it was quite a lot of money at £30 million when they brought him in, but evidently it was more than worth it. Currently in 4th place and 7 points clear of Spurs, who do have a couple of games in hand. Villa have been a real force this season, and a huge part of that is down to their new signings, and in particular, this man right here. Centre-back Mickey van der Ven, partnering the Spaniard at Villa, is the Dutchman at Spurs. The team who focus on attack, leave their defence completely vulnerable on an unsurmountable amount of occasions, but I think there have been 2 very vital components to that Spurs defence that has stopped them from conceding a heck of a lot more than they actually have. One of those being the aforementioned Vicario, and the other being Van der Ven. The fastest man in the league this season, according to the stats. The sight of him performing those recovery runs has become a real common occurrence, and an impressive one at that. You could argue the fact that he has to perform so many recovery runs shows his reading of the game isn't as good, but that would be short-sighted to assume, and it is clearly much more down to the system at play rather than the individual. Just look at his tackle success rate. 69% is absolutely fantastic. A young talent with plenty of his career ahead of him, this has been an absolute diamond of a signing. Left back Josko Gvardiol over to the left side of the defence, and there wasn't a massive berth of choices here. With that in mind, I've opted for a player who isn't naturally a left back, but I don't remember the last time Pep had a natural left back. Maybe Angelino? Gvardiol is a player who I rate so massively, and although he hasn't quite been as dominant of a force as I expected in his first season at City, there is no doubt he has been an impressive member in yet another impressive season for the Citizens. Similar to Van de Ven, speed and recovery runs have been a staple of Gvardiol's season, and you can see the foundations for what is certainly going to be a very successful career. A top player to round off a top defence, but do you think he deserves to be in this team? You know how to let me know. Centre mid Declan Rice, first of the midfielders and probably the most shoo-in of the whole team. Declan Rice has just been on another level. West Ham fans would argue that he has been this level for a long time, and I would tend to agree, but the difference that seems to be ignored when this topic comes up is that he is doing it on a bigger scale now. Not only did he have the pressure of a record signing hanging over him, but he has had to make the jump from a top half of the table team to a title and Champions League contending team, and you know what? The lad has took to it like a duck to water. Declan Rice can basically do everything you ask of him. You want him to break up play? He'll do it. You want him to thread a 40-yard ball? He'll do it. You want him to bulldoze through the opposition on his way to goal? He'll do it. He's arguably the most all-round English midfielder at this moment in time, although Bellingham could have something to say about that. Just look at those stats. You don't get much more all-rounded. I said there was no way Rice was getting left out of my team of the season, so of course there's no way he's being left out of my team of the best signings of the season. Centre mid Adam Wharton. I am incredibly impressed in the short space of time that Adam Wharton has had within the Premier League. It could be said that I should be picking players who have had a full season in the Prem, but I would argue that from what we have seen of Wharton, it is absolutely very clear just how much of a good signing this is and how much of a talent the lad is. Having only recently turned 20 years of age, he has come straight into the Crystal Palace midfield and has solidified himself straight away as being one of their most important players. He's averaging 3.49 tackles a game, putting him in the top 97% for his position, as well as 1.4 interceptions, 1.22 blocks and 1.75 clearances. Fantastic stats, particularly for someone so young and for someone playing in a team in the bottom half of the table. I referenced it a couple of weeks ago in a previous video, but the way that he performed in matches against Liverpool and Manchester City against some of the best midfielders in the world was undoubtedly something to behold. Nothing seems to be fazing the boy, and if he continues on this trajectory, I don't see it being long before one of the traditional big teams come in with a whole heap of cash to try and prize him away from the Eagles. Of course, there's room to grow yet, and he isn't by any means the finished article, but what do you think? Is Wharton on his way to being one of the top midfielders in the league? And if he were to leave in the coming seasons, which of the Big Six teams would suit him best? And talking of Big Six, there's 6 big things that you don't seem to have done yet. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, follow me on X, like this video, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. It all goes a long way to supporting the channel and keeping these videos coming. So, what are you waiting for? Centre mid Alexis McAllister. I wanted Alexis to join Liverpool for a long time before he did, and when the transfer actually happened, I was buzzing and I was so confident that it would be a hit. Fast forward to the end of the season, and it most definitely has been. He started his Liverpool career having to fill in as centre defensive mid, and he did a commendable enough job, but we as Liverpool supporters were all chomping at the bit for him to get the chance to be pushed forward more, and ever since that took place, he has looked exactly like the player that Liverpool were buying. In fact, no, he's looked better. Some of the passes that he has been spraying around all over the pitch this season have been divine, and there's been a heck of a lot of them. Averaging 60 successful passes a game, a lot of the Liverpool players being dictated right through him, and with 4 goals and 5 assists in the league so far, the creativity has been well up on the numbers that the Liverpool midfield were producing last season. Right mid Cole Palmer. It seems I cannot stop talking about this lad. He keeps coming up in all of my videos and I just can't keep his name out of my mouth. But you know what? It is entirely deserved. Amongst the absolute dross going on with Chelsea for the majority of the season, Cole Palmer stood like a shining beacon of light and has carried this team all on his lonesome. To go from a player on the fringes of the Manchester City squad to vying for the Premier League Golden Boot as a now 22-year-old after his birthday yesterday, happy birthday Cole, is completely astounding and is something that he has to be praised for. Just look at all those bright green bars. Non-penalty goals and non-penalty XG, total shots, assists and so on, they are all right up in the top percentile for his position, and again this guy has literally just turned 22. There is so much more of his career still to come, and at the moment you don't see his rise stopping anytime soon. Left mid Mohamed Kudus, honestly, what a player. West Ham have been having a good few transfer windows in recent seasons, and the window of summer 2023 was a superb one. The likes of Ward-Prowse, Alvarez and our man here, Kudus, have been brilliant additions to the squad and the league. I just want to draw your attention to these dribbling stats right here. 167 dribbles attempted, meaning a massive average of 6.78 per game, putting him in the top 99 percentile, and of those 167 attempted, 95 have been successful, leaving an average of 3.85 per game, and once again putting him in the top 99 percentile. Sky high numbers, and you'd have to be some bloody good player to get to anything close to that. After this season, Manchester United fans are lamenting the fact they signed Anthony instead of this guy, and you can 100% understand that. Half the price, but this season, twice the player. Before I go on to reveal the final player, here's a list of a few honourable mentions. Thomas Kaminski, Calvin Bassey, Ola Aina, Wataru Endo, Ross Barkley, Alex Iwobi, João Pedro. Striker Kai Havertz, last but not least, and it is Kai Havertz. I have to admit, I've not rated him one bit since he came to England. He's never really impressed me on a consistent basis, and it's never really even been clear what position he plays because he just didn't excel in any of them. His move to Arsenal, I didn't get it. They needed a striker, but they went and lumped a massive sum of money on a player who had scored 19 goals in 91 Premier League games for his previous club, a club that wanted him off their books. It seemed ridiculous, and after their first month or two, his performances didn't go any way to convincing anyone of otherwise. But in all fairness to him, he's completely turned the narrative around. 12 goals and 6 assists still isn't exactly crazy prolific if you are comparing him to a traditional striker of a big club like Arsenal, but in Arteta's system, where an outright number 9 isn't the status quo, he's done so much more for the team as a whole than he ever managed at Chelsea, becoming actually a rather important cog in this title-pushing Arsenal team. His goal-scoring stats are right up there for a midfielder, and his passing stats are right up there for a striker. Whichever position it is that he plays, he is linking up play, creating chances, and having a major part in his team scoring a whole ton of goals on their way to trying to win their first title in 20 years. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my team of the best signings of the season. Remember to let me know down in those comments below what you thought of the team, and if you don't agree with my picks, who would you be choosing? Whilst you're at it, please remember to like and subscribe, and whilst you're at that, make sure to check me out across all of my other socials. If you are on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram or X, then you can find me by typing in Bolts96, but just remember that the O is a 0. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.